Okay, everybody, we have a lot of hymns to sing this morning, and you know all of them, and we have Abraham here to play for us. Wonderful. So let's start. Let's stand up for this one, and then after that, you can sit down. He's got the whole world in his hands. 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 He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got you and me, sister, in his hands. He's got you and me, brother, in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got my soul and body in his hands. He's got my soul and body in his hands. He's got my soul and body in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I want to thank the musicians, Sally McAllister and Adam Shim. Abraham Shim. I'm not reading all this morning. You submit it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's better. And our guest speaker today is Reverend Joanna Gabriel. Our board member of the week is Kimberly. Our ushers, Kimberly. And our chaplain is my lovely wife, Debbie Lee. We must not have any children today because I see Nora sitting up here.
We're going to do children too, after.
She's double dipping.
She's the biggest.
That's a compliment.
Our hospitality host is Ann Miller.
Thank you, Dan.
And of course, technology is Mr. Mark Swink. And our minister angel, Suzanne Henderson. Have we got anybody new here for the first time?
Returning visitor.
Say again?
Returning visitor. Dennis.
Returning visitor.
Dennis.
Welcome. The musicians would lead the congregation in our heart song. I appreciate it. We welcome you in the spirit of love. We want you to know no matter where you are on your journey of faith, you are always welcome here. We know that the world is a better place when we are willing to share our hearts. We give you this heart as a symbol of the steadfast spirit that lives within each of us, and we ask you to carry this symbol as a member of the Red Heart Fellowship. Let it be a reminder that the love of God is always with you and to share your heart wherever you go. The red heart, as a symbol of fellowship in the world, can spread one love, one heart at a time. Let's start the movement here. Unity happenings. Let's see what are coming up. August 13th at 10 a.m. we have a guest speaker, Joanna Gabriel. August 20th we have Karen Hamilton. And we also have our annual picnic.
That's just next week.
That is next week. August 25th, I assume that's a Friday, is movie night, Star Wars, The Force Awakens. And the donation will go to our technology fund. On the 27th, we have Pastor Bill Comfort. And Jessa will be our musician. And on the 5th, we have Suzanne Auclair with the New Moon Circle, Spiritual Star Talks, including a mini reading. And I'm not certain what that means. So, and that's it for the upcoming events. We'll be lighting the Christ candle.
Lord,
Oh, Lord. I didn't see that on there, sorry.
I'll be quick then, how's that?
Okay, let's see. First, we want to thank you for completing the feedback forms that were included in your Sunday bulletins. The information you're sharing is really helpful to us. So please continue to fill those out and put them in the bag in the fellowship area. Okay, technology envelopes, you may have seen on your seats, are still there. For those of you that want to make a separate contribution to go directly towards a technology fund. Right now, there is a list of items needed on the bulletin board if you want to see what we're shooting for. And the estimated financial cost is about $6,000, and our current balance now is $1,269, so we're climbing. Okay, there is a sign-up sheet in the fellowship area for the picnic for the 20th. The church is going to provide the fried chicken, the plates, the bottled water, napkins, knives, forks, and everything. So sign up on there if you want to bring one of your other favorite goodies, or salads or whatever might be on the list there. Okay, movie night. Our next movie night is Friday, August 25th, and they're going to be showing the final Star Wars film, which is The Force Awakens. And we're going to have this at the Swinks house because it is in Blu-ray format, and they have a Blu-ray player there.
They have all the toys.
Yeah, they have all the fun toys at their house, yeah. So if you're interested in attending the movie night, please let Mark or Cindy know. And of course, the funds will be going towards the technology fund there. If you have suggestions on movies that you want to see, let us know, or let one of the board members know, or Mark know, because there's a lot of good movies out there, so suggestions are very welcome. The Seattle Peace Project is going on through September. The Seattle Peace Project is enlisting volunteers to spend time each day meditating and praying for peace and harmony. And it's going from June through September. There's a flyer on the bulletin board if you want to know more about that, and their website and whatnot on that too. Unity North Kitsap is having concert with Dennis and Bonnie O'Hanlon and ice cream social on Friday, August 25th from 7 p.m. to 8:30. For those of you that are not attending the movie night, that might be kind of a fun thing to go to. Bulletin board has more details on that too. Okay, let's see. Our board, we're working very hard to preserve our savings account and operate under a really balanced budget. So in order to provide transparency to all of you so that you know where we're at, we're now including some financial status information on the back of the bulletin boards, on the bulletins, I'm sorry. The full P&L statement is posted on the bulletin board every Sunday. If you guys are interested in that and want to take a peek, that's where it's at. And the board is working on filling the required paperwork for hiring a new minister. So we will keep you updated on that process as it moves along. Our next board meeting is today. The board will continue to update you weekly, so if you have any questions or concerns, talk to one of us. Thank you.
I like the Christ candle that symbolizes Christ's presence in each of us. It is lit. I think I'm going to change that candle. This one has hope. Okay. The invocation statement.
There is one presence and one power, active in the universe and in my life, God the good omnipotence.
Thank you. During this phase, please be careful when you hug your neighbor. Don't hug them too hard. So if you would say good morning to your neighbor, this is the time.
Nobody gives you a hug. Sit back there all by Yes, I
Get the car into the paper.
I didn't go.
Good morning, Robert.
Yeah, I like some of this myself. Good morning. How are you?
I know it says Maryland, but I'm not Maryland. She's off playing.
Yes, she's playing.
The word for the day is awareness. I am aware of God's presence in everything I do and everyone I meet. A first step in realizing our spiritual purpose is to become aware of the one presence and one power, God the omnipotent, that defines the essence of everything. We see divine presence in great spiritual teachers, beautiful sunsets, or in the eyes of children. Before we are awakened to spirit, there were experiences that spoke to us of a power far greater than the limits of this mortal realm. Our spiritual path is always moving us forward. Awake and aware, we find our lives filled with opportunities to accomplish our spiritual purpose. Choice by choice, we bring into awareness a dimension of consciousness that Jesus describes as the kingdom of heaven. And from Scripture, be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and to clothe yourselves with a new self, created according to the likeness of God. From Ephesians 4:23 and 24.
Okay, this is the last hymn you're going to sing today, so sing right out. You know this one really well.
Peace like a river, I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain in my soul. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul.
I have one piece of special music for you today. I wanted to sing today, but unfortunately I have caught the flu only about a week and a half ago, so my throat is still very bad, but I hope you will enjoy the sound of music.
privilege and honor to introduce our guest speaker, Reverend Joanna Gabriel.
And it's my honor to be here. Abraham, that was awesome.
Thank you.
You know, I heard that you just completed your first year at Yale. Wow. Would you want to tell us a little bit about it? Just
Of course.
share a little bit? Would you guys like to hear a little bit about
Yes.
it? We're living vicariously through you.
Alright, so like she said, I just finished my first year at Yale. It was a huge transition going from where we get half-inch of snow at most every winter, and at Yale there's a foot of snow after one day of snowing. Very different. The people are very different. It was like moving to a completely different country. It was very difficult to not have family there, or I didn't know anybody. It was very rough in the beginning, but I was able to find kind friends, good friends. It took some time, but after a while I was able to develop some friendships, and we studied together, we would eat meals together, and we formed this great bond. And I am basically best friends with the people I live with, and I'm living with them again this year. I'm very excited to do that. And it has just been amazing. Yes, the classes have been very difficult. There has been a lot of homework, a lot of challenges, but I have friends with me that can help me get through that. And it's great because I'm constantly surrounded by people who support me and who love me, and I feel the same way about them also.
You're studying.
I am going to be majoring, I think, in molecular biophysics and biochemistry. It's a pretty popular major. Thank you very much for letting me share my experiences.
Good job.
Glad to be here.
Bravo.
What is it again? Molecular what?
Biophysics and biochemistry.
Bless you, my child.
I'm curious what you want to do with that.
So it will be most of a research-based study. So I hope to go to a biotechnology company or become a professor and continue researching biology.
Good.
So basically a scientist.
Thank you, we need more.
Thank you very much.
We sure do, and our scientists that can bridge the heart, that's really something. That's very powerful. And we have that in you. So we're very grateful, Abraham. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Let's see if I can stand still. You know I'm not very good at that. We'll see how far we get with this. Hi. How are you? How are things? How's the world?
Better and worse.
Yeah, how about it? Yes. Well, you know, I thought you would find it interesting as we look outside and we look even over just this weekend and look out in our world and in our country, and it looks like things are falling apart. And so you come in and Joanna's talking about joy. What kind of denial is that? Why would I be talking about joy on a day like today with things the way they are and the way they feel? Why would I be talking about joy?
Because we need it. Because it's important.
Because it's important, because we need it, right?
It's the only thing we can afford.
It's the only thing we can afford. You're right. Good point.
It is free.
And it's free.
And it's true.
And it's true. Yeah, exactly. And it's high time, not a moment too soon, don't you think?
Amen.
Wouldn't you say that's the missing piece in all of this? And wouldn't you say that that's why many of us are where we are in our struggles, is because we've lived a life that hasn't been about joy? We've learned because the people who taught us learned, and the ones before them learned, that it's got to be hard, that it has to be a struggle. No pain, no gain. And in fact, I don't know if you can remember this or can relate to this, but I certainly can, that there have been moments in my own life that if I wasn't struggling, I was feeling kind of guilty. If it was easy, I was feeling a little guilty. Did you ever feel like that because it was easy? Did you ever feel guilty because you had some extra time to play? Or that you had vacation, or that something came together that worked in your favor? Did you ever feel guilty about that? Well, maybe you didn't, but I did, and lots of people do. I saw this quote from Abraham, not our wonderful musician, but Abraham, you know that. Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks. Abraham says, "You have been oriented that you must pay a price in order to get somewhere. And in the process, you've come to believe that getting there must be really important. Therefore, it must be your purpose." And we say, but if you're not getting to joy, then you're getting nowhere. Joy is really where you're going. And if that's the truth of it, what's going on in this world? What I saw on TV yesterday did not look like joy, did it to you?
No.
No. No, it didn't. What can we do about that, what we see? What we're experiencing? What we're witnessing? What can we do, you and I, today in Bremerton, Washington? What can we do?
Pray.
Praying is very important, isn't it?
Feel the joy so our light shines.
Feel the joy so our lights shine. Thank you, Robert. Absolutely.
No, that's not who we are.
Knowing that that's not who we are.
Stay
And
positive.
in the essence of us, that's exactly true. In the collective of us, is it true?
Yes.
Because here we talk about being all part of the one. So are those folks where we see that going on, are they other than us? Really? No, they're not. So we can't just go, oh, well, that's over there, that's them, we're not doing that, so it's not about us. But indeed, if we're all one, then some part of us exists in that fight, in that struggle. Can you see that? Do you feel that? It's important to get that. Not that we want to go down with the struggle, because you're right, it isn't the essence of us. But it's not about saying, that's not me. Because the only way anything like that could be existing in our world among the one, the collective that we are, means that some piece of it, even the tiniest of pieces, is shared amongst all of us. And there may be a part of you that says, well, I would never do such a thing. Well, probably not. But have you ever felt that way before? Have you ever felt so angry and so frustrated and so upset and so unseen, unfelt, unheard that you wanted to make a ruckus to get somebody's attention? That you were so angry that maybe you would have a fantasy about striking out against someone? I don't know about running over them, but you see what I mean? If you really pushed it, that feeling that you had, if you pushed it out as far as it could go. And I'm not telling you this or saying this to make it okay or to make it right. What I'm saying is that we have to open our eyes and our hearts to see that we're all part of the one, and that if this is showing up, that means that there's healing work to do inside each of us. that those places that have felt that kind of hurt, frustration, and struggle need our attention, need our support, need our healing. Does that make sense to you? Can you feel that? Does that ring true to you? Yeah. So when we see these things and we go, oh boy, I can't believe this is happening. Well, of course, it's very difficult to believe, and at the same time, it's showing us where the healing needs to take place in our world as collectively and inside of us individually. And like I said, you may not be in anywhere where you would be hitting or hurting or running over or judging or condemning or anything, but there's a piece in each one of us that has had an experience of betrayal. Haven't we? Of even a form of condemnation. Haven't we? Or maybe we've condemned another in some way at some point for whatever reason. And maybe we thought we were done with that. But maybe if this comes up in your face, maybe it's saying to you, time to check that again and make sure that we've cleared it, that we've released it, that we're letting it go. And the places in us that are intolerant. And my friends, I'm willing to bet that the biggest place of intolerance that we have is not so much out there as it is in here. For ourselves. Now, does that ring true? Or for some part of our lives where we don't even want to think about it because it was just not going well and we made some choices that, oh, if we only had it to do again, but we don't, and so there it is. These things happening are an opportunity for us to reach out and pray and bless and send light and be the light. Be so much light that those can see in the dark, can see their way home. But in order to be that, the light that we have to lift the bushel off of it, the basket off of it, the covering off of it. And sometimes we hesitate to do that because we don't feel that inside ourselves. We haven't accepted ourselves. We haven't forgiven ourselves. We don't love ourselves enough. And you know that, Joanna, every time she comes in here, she talks about this in some way, shape, or form, doesn't she? Why does she do that? Because, my friends, as deep as I go, that's what I keep hearing. And that every one of those people that are standing out there shaking their fists, it's the same thing. It's no different. That hate, that fear is coming from a place of unworthiness, a sense of non-acceptance. But they're looking out there to be accepted. But the truth of it is who needs to accept them? Themselves. And that's how they can make others wrong, to such a degree that they're willing to hurt another. It's not that they're evil. As that sense of unworthiness is couched in fears and doubts and negativity. And it's still in there. And that's what unworthiness attracts, doesn't it? We are great manifestors. We're manifesting our experience constantly, moment to moment. And if I'm coming from a place of believing that I'm not worth anything good in this life, what am I going to attract? Not anything good. In a variety of ways. And it does show up in a variety of ways, doesn't it? And we're all familiar. But those of us who are living and seeking to be conscious beings understand that life isn't happening to us. It's happening through us by what we're holding as true. I was looking through Alan Cohen's book, Joy is My Compass. It's a wonderful book. It's very easy reading if you I'm going to pick that up one of these days. And he was talking about Jesus, and he was saying that Jesus is not a special exception to life, bestowed with powers and potentials greater than the rest of us. Jesus was our elder brother who came to remind us of who we really are. If there is any difference between Jesus and us, it is not one of ability, it is of awareness. Do you see the difference? And so very often in our religions are based on the separation between us and Jesus, right? Jesus is way up there, way out there somewhere, who I could never touch. And it's only by his great mercy that I get to be here, or that I get to survive, or that I get to go to heaven. And that is, if you ever look at what the things that we understand that Jesus said to us, he never, ever, ever said that. The whole time he was talking about, these things I am, you are. And in fact, you're even more. Because I go to the Father. What did he mean by that? Many churches use that statement as a source of separation. And what we've come to understand in consciousness is that what he was doing was drawing everybody in together. You are more because I go to the Father, meaning that in the awareness of us as that we're all part of the one, that awareness is what lifts us up. To be very much a part of the Holy Trinity. We are. And in fact, we're standing in the center of it. Do you get that? Were you all raised with the Holy Trinity? The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, or Father, Son, and Holy Ghost? Did you ever understand that what they're making this Trinity around is you? It's how you are held. It's how you are loved. It's how you are seen. It's how you can be lifted up if you allow it. It's not a source of separating you and stomping you in the ground. That you're of the dust of the earth. The actions of those who believe that we saw on TV yesterday. Do you see that? People that don't believe that they're worthy. People that believe that they have to be saved by something outside of themselves. If it has mercy on them. And that's the last thing that divine essence, divine source, God, Jesus, whatever you name the essence of life. It's the last thing that she teaches us. Do you see? Questions or comments about that? Can you feel that? Does that ring true for you? And when I've said to you many times that there's more love on the planet than there ever was, and you go, oh, really? Yeah, really. Because what love does is it seeks that which is unlike itself and brings it to the surface to be healed, to make room for more love. That's what love does. How many of you decided that you love someone or you're in a relationship that's about love and all of a sudden the relationship just goes nuts and you're going, wait a second. I thought this was about love. Oh, it is about love. But what it does is it brings up all that inside of us, inside of each other, that is afraid of it, that denies it, that has wounds from the past, all that stuff. Why? To cause drama? No. Love, just because of what love is, it goes in those corners and draws that stuff up to be healed so that there can be room for more love. It doesn't go in on top of it. It can't. So it draws it to the surface. And so we think, oh my, I thought this, oh my goodness, I'm not doing this right. No, it isn't about that. It's about opening up and using what's coming to the surface as the roadmap to say, yeah, this is what's up, this is what, let's move through this. Let's forgive this. Let's let this go so that we can go on to the next step. You who have been children, you have been parents, grandparents, you know these relationships are not always easy. And you think, God, I love this person more than anything in the world. Why is this so hard? It's not that the love isn't the highest quality, that it isn't real, that it isn't true, but it's like a laboratory for opportunities to grow through what the love is bringing to the surface that is unlike itself. Do you get that? Does that make sense? Any questions about that? Yes.
I've struggled with that concept. I've studied it for years about love bringing what's not like it to the surface. I've read it in different places. I've looked at it. I'm amazed the reasoning for it. Why does it do that? Why couldn't it be just love? Why should it resolve those things first? I could understand it, but just turmoil or just...
Well, if we don't understand it, it can just be turmoil and it can shut everything down. You're right. And it's also true that could it be healed in an instant? Absolutely it could, my friend. Could it be healed like that? Oh, yes, it could. But do we believe that? No!
We need a perfect Lord like this one. Okay, we got it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It could be, absolutely. Love has no agenda that it wants to make your life miserable for 15 years. Or even 15 minutes. It could be gone in 15 seconds if we allowed it. If we believe that. If we're willing to let go. But we so much identify with that stuff. And the ego, you know, we've talked about this many times. The ego doesn't like the unknown at all. If I don't got any files on it, no. And so we're talking about a new beginning, aren't we? A new place. And the ego goes, no. We can't let go of that because who am I if I don't have that identity anymore of the victim, of the wound, of the forlorn, right? And that's not to diminish anybody's experience. Because everybody, as you've heard me say many times too, we're all walking miracles in here. Every single one of us. Every single one of us is a walking miracle. Isn't that true, Abraham? Yes, it is. Every single one. I promise you, every single person stood up here and told their story, and we'd all be crying and in disbelief of what each person in here has walked through. But the thing of it is it didn't occur to take us down or shut us down or minimize us. The other opportunity is to lift us up and make us more and let that stuff, rather than it being the identifier, letting it being the foundation that we stand up on to go to the next level, to see beyond it. But so often we stay stuck in it. We can't see past it. So it looks like almost like love is our enemy. Because it's like bringing up all this stuff. Oh my, how am I ever supposed to have a moment's peace? And love says, come to me. This is your peace. Allow it. Let go. Forgive that one in the mirror. See, we will get to the place probably, not all the time, but we'll probably forgive most of the folks. But the one that's always last on the list is whom? So when I say to you, love brings it up to be healed, and you go, oh, sounds like a good system, but why? It may take the rest of my life. It may take into the next life. You're right, it may. But if I'm willing to forgive myself and see it as an opportunity for a new beginning, to let go of it all so I can make more room for love. More love. I can make room for this relationship to evolve to something deeper, to something sweeter. Or maybe we get to the place where it feels like the relationship is complete, but we're both clear about that, so we can be in peace in that. Now, how often does that happen? Not very often. But it doesn't mean it's not the truth. Do you see?
I believe it's the truth. I know it's the truth.
So you need to start workshops on doing this.
No, where God is present, you know, the past or memories can't harm me.
That's right. There can be no harm. No one can be lost. But there's a place in us that believes that's not true. Right? And so from that place, we're operating on fear. Right? And what does fear draw? More opportunities to be afraid. So joy, I'm going to speak about joy. Joy is a state of being. It's not just a word on a Christmas card. It's not just a word in a Christmas carol, because really, we don't say joy very much, do we? Unless it's your name, right? We don't. You don't hear it except joy to the world in November and December.
Right.
We don't even talk, it's like kind of a fluff word. You know, we don't use it. Charles Fillmore says, joy is the happiness of God expressed through his perfect idea, man. Well, human. Woman. Man. Joy is strength-giving, especially if the mind is fixed on the things of the Spirit. In every moment, there is an opportunity to be lifted up, even in the ones that are most painful. Well, now, Joanna, what do you mean, the most painful? If I'm hurting, how can I feel joy? Remember when I broke my arm a few years ago? Well, I was a real baby about that. And when I was getting the x-ray and everything, when they took me to the emergency room, I was yelling. It hurt so bad. Listen, and here. And I'd never broken a bone before in this life. And I used to work in orthopedics, and I used to wonder about these people that were yelling all the time when they were getting their x-ray. I thought, I realize people want attention and things like that, but I just don't think they have to get that carried away. Well, guess who was yelling at the top of their lungs when it was me getting the x-ray? Oh! Crying, oh my goodness. And so I promise you I was not feeling joy in that moment. I could not find, I wouldn't have needed, if you'd asked me, I'd say, what are you, nuts? Joy? But as I dealt with the pain over the weeks after that, what I started to experiment with, because I was curious about it, because I know I'm the one that comes up to the front of the room and says these things. So it's nice to kind of have a sense of it to see if, am I just really crazy? So when I was really feeling a lot of pain, what I would do is when I was feeling the pain, is I would ask what it was I could be grateful for in that moment, because I didn't feel grateful for the pain. I didn't. Gotta be honest, I didn't. So what I would go to is I would feel grateful for my breath, that I could breathe. And when I noticed, I would try to breathe in the gratitude and breathe as deep as I could. And what I would notice is after I did that for a little bit, the pain was less. And I did that several times and it worked every time. And I invite you to do that too. That's not to say that there isn't real pain or we don't have real, I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about ways to move through it. Because that's what consciousness is. Consciousness isn't about the fact that we're not going to have anything go wrong anymore. I mean, I know when we signed on for this tour, we thought, well, maybe nothing will go wrong anymore. Have you noticed that? No. The difference is that we understand things a bit better and we have tools to help us move through it. And that whatever experience shows up, we can use it to lift it up a little more. Do we do it in the moment it occurs? Not all the time. Sometimes maybe. Not all the time. I don't. It's not my first thought, my second thought, third. Sometimes it's not my fourth or fifth either. Gotta be honest. But once I get there, once it does become my thought, once it does come into my reality, my experience, my consciousness, then things begin to shift. And that's how we support each other. Now, it isn't about us saying, so, Abraham, what's going on with you that you would draw the flu into your life at this time? Don't you find that annoying? Very. Yeah, no, not that. It's, how can I support you in this moment? What can I do to support? What can I remind you? You are a light in my life. How can I reflect that back to you in this moment so that it helps you? It's not denying the flu. It's not making you wrong for having it. It's how can I support you in this, Abraham? What can I do for you? Do you need some chicken soup, honey? Are you okay? And there's that part, there's the chicken soup part, and there's also the kindness part, and the compassion part, and the light part. And it doesn't help us to make ourselves wrong if we don't get there in the first moment, or in the first 5 minutes, or maybe even in the first day. But as long as we get there, and when we do, then go for it. Act from there. Trust from there. Heal from there. Right? Questions or comments about that? Anything? You cannot simultaneously call for peace and prepare for war. We need some t-shirts or something, don't we?
Yeah.
So once again, that's another point of stuff, all this energy around that right now. Why is that coming up now? Because there's underlying rage. We cannot call for peace with a rageful heart. We cannot call for peace and entertain ourselves with violence. Hello, people. We cannot do it. We cannot do it. Do you get that?
Absolutely.
We cannot be peacemongers and entertain ourselves with people fighting and killing each other on television, in movies, every single night. And that's a hard one, isn't it? Because everybody likes CSI or whatever. Is that still on?
Yes.
So I may be outdated. I apologize if I am. But you know what I'm saying. And this isn't to make wrong. Just think about that. Common sense should tell us that. And it's getting more and more intense. And so why wouldn't someone get on the bandwagon if someone starts raising the saber for war when that's what we're seeing on television every night? When our young people, that's what they're looking at every night. Or those are the games they're playing on the computer.
Right.
Duh. You see, there's some changes we all need to make that may not literally affect anything out there, but in our oneness, collectively, on a spiritual level, on a psychic level, on an energetic level, it's hugely powerful. It has an impact. Are you familiar with Mark Nepo? Do you know who he is? Mark Nepo he's an author, he's a poet, writer, and he's someone who writes from his experience. He had a huge, gigantic brain tumor that the doctors told him was terminal, and that it was so big they couldn't really do anything about it. So he decided that wasn't okay with him, so he started doing some spiritual work, and to make a long story short, there was a day he went in to have it looked at, and it was gone. And so he realized there's something to this spiritual stuff. And so that really influenced him to really move in more deeply to his spiritual journey. And a few years later, he got it again. And it went away again. So his spiritual the way he goes at his spirituality is from a very common place. He uses language in his poetry that we can all relate to, because he didn't come at it as a high priest or a philosopher or anything. He came at it from human experience. And his big thing is joy, because he sees that joy is the answer for healing, for lifting us up. And so I brought just a couple short of his poems because I wanted to share them with you. This one is called Coming Out. While there is much to do, we are not here to do. Under the want to problem solve is the need to being solve. Often with full being, the problem goes away. The seed being solves its darkness by blossoming. The heart being solves its loneliness by loving whatever it meets. The tea being solves the water by becoming tea. I like that. This one says, it's made from bone. When I can be the truth, it grows more and more clear when it is necessary to tell the truth. That is, when I have access to the place with me that is lighted, I don't have to speak heatedly. I can just give away warmth. When I am still enough to brush quietly with eternity, I don't have to speak of God. Isn't that a beautiful sentence? When I am still enough to brush quietly with eternity, I don't have to speak of God. I can just offer peace to those around me. A tree grows so it can convey wind. It is not the wind, and a person grows in order to convey spirit. They say that animals recharge their innocence each time they hoof the earth. And we are reborn each time we touch what matters. See, there's always so much more going on in each minute than what's at the surface. And you and I, seekers of consciousness, or acceptors of consciousness, it's not really a seeking, it's an allowing, isn't it? An allowing of consciousness, an allowing of awareness, are charged with the task of finding that which is deeper in each moment. We know it's on the surface. We get it. What's underneath that thing that's showing up right now? What's under it? Because it's under that is the joy. The joy is always on the other side of our willingness to step in. Hasn't that been your experience when you've experienced joy? Your willingness to be fully in the moment? Your willingness to be vulnerable with the one you love? your willingness to stay in it till you get the blessing. Remember in the Old Testament, the story about Jacob wrestling the angel and stayed with the angel until the angel gave him the blessing? There's a message there. We can't take what's happening in our world at surface value. We'll miss it, and we can't afford to miss it. Look deeper. When you see those angry faces and you feel that anger, the reason we can identify it is because it exists somewhere inside of us. Maybe not to that degree in any way, shape, or form. But what you can do to heal the moment is to go in and find it in you, whatever that looks like. Whether it's an experience from your childhood, whether it's your first marriage, with one of your kids, with a neighbor, with a coworker, it doesn't matter. The details don't matter. It's the feeling of it. You know, you hear in conversations with God, God always said that feelings are the language of the soul. And I find that to be so important because the feelings are the pointer to tell me what it is, what it's holding on to in here. If I follow the feeling in, what's it anchored to? Do you see? And there's your answer. Questions or comments about any of that?
I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be okay with the whole thing inside.
Mm-hmm.
You have to see it as empathy or them being fearful of something. Fear, really?
And it's very easy for what we're seeing out there to trigger fear, isn't it? My goodness, it's very easy. But what we're doing then is just adding to the fear. And are we helping the situation? Are we offering any healing? No. So if you feel that, feel it for the moment and let it go. It's totally understandable. And most people are feeling fear, I would bet. But fear is not going to heal this. My last poem, and then we'll go into meditation. This one's called Way of the Dolphin. Standing in the harbor, these slick wonders slip their fins in and out of early sun. I close my eyes and remember being wheeled into surgery all those years ago, believing my job was to meet my surgeon at the surface, so the rib he had to remove would slip out, like a dolphin of bone, as soon as he would cut me. I've learned that everything that matters goes the way of the dolphin, drifting most of the time out of view, breaking surface when we least expect it. And our job in finding God, in being God, in finding truth, in being truth, in finding love, in being love, is to meet the world at the surface where spirit slips out through every cut. Where spirit slips out through every cut. That's our job, is to recognize it, is to see it, is to allow it, is to call it forth. Even in the midst of all of this that looks pretty nasty, call it forth. There are people standing up now that haven't been standing up until now. It took this situation for them to stand up, to say this is not okay. Let's shine the light through that awareness, make it bigger. And so let's just take a moment. We'll just take a couple of moments. Let's breathe together. Get comfortable, and if it's comfortable to you, close your eyes. what comes to me immediately. Don't you often, we're so blessed to live near the water and be around the water all the time. What a gift that is. And don't you often look at the water to see what you can see poking its head up? Is that a sea lion? Is that a seal? Is that a dolphin? Is that a whale? I was on the ferry the other day. We were just coming into Clinton, and the pilot came on and said, "There's a couple of orcas on our right." Everybody goes racing over there, and I'm always wondering if the ferry's going to tip, but it doesn't. It's almost like in that water, the water of daily life, every so often that joy pokes through. That joy, it's there. If we're watching, if we're paying attention, if we're allowing. And oh, how we can use it in these days. And it helps if we're watching from a place of expectation. That of course those beautiful beings will rise up and make their presence known to gift us. Or maybe for you this morning it's the eagle flying overhead. Don't you feel gifted in the moment when there's the eagle soaring overhead? Or a red-tailed hawk, or whatever it is. Part of consciousness is seeing with eyes that are open to the beauty and the peace and the joy, always available. We're paying attention. And in this moment, there may be someone you know, someone you love, who could use this reminder that what's going on for them, it may not be what they're thinking about joy right now. It may not be peace. But because we're all one, we can hold them for it until they can for themselves. So if there's someone you'd like to bring into this moment, to the energy of this moment, feel free to say their names aloud right now. And for our community, for our country, for our planet, for the universe, that in this moment of now, all forms of life are held, are lifted up, are blessed. And for the opportunity to be reminded of our oneness with all life. We are grateful, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Joanna. You gave us a lot to think about. The song that we're going to do is a very joyful song because Kermit the Frog sang it. So it's got to be happy. It's got to be a happy song.
All right.
rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Who said that every wish would be heard and answered when wished on the morning star? Somebody thought of it, and someone believed it, and look what it's done so far. What's so amazing that keeps us stargazing, and what do we think we might see? Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. All of us under its spell, we know that it's probably magic. Have you been half asleep, and have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name. Is this the strange sound that calls the young sailors? The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. La 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 la
As you are preparing your tithes and love offerings today, think about how blessed you are. And as you are writing your check or giving your gift, send out your blessing. Also, if you'd like, you can come light a candle, write down that care that you don't want to have anymore. Together. We
Dedicate these gifts in service to the highest mission, recognizing and celebrating our oneness with God. We joyfully and freely participate in the law of circulation, of giving and receiving, knowing God is source, the source of all good. We are grateful.
Is there someone who'd like to take the bag for those who are in need on the streets?
Are we here next week?
Now it's good news time. The good news this week is of those who have been praying so hard to clear the smoke, to reduce the heat. The rain has come. Good prayers. Anybody else?
It's so perfect, Abraham. Have you ever found, where you go into a bookstore or you go somewhere and all at once the right thing falls off the shelf at you? Well, I've got thousands of books that prove that. But what I've been finding and recognized is that my computer, you ever turn your computer on and all of a sudden something's there that you didn't expect? Where did that come from? Well, last night, for those who may not be aware or are aware of Greg Braden, you will want to look him up. Because, Joanna, when you said bridging science with the heart, there's nobody that's done it more than him. But this is a program you can get on your computer. It was when he was in Milano, in Italy. And I looked at that and I went, oh, there's no way. I mean, I've read his books. I've actually spent time with him since back in the 80s. And it is the most incredible thing of where he bridges science and the ancient wisdom teachings and all these lost or suppressed books of the Bible. And all of this combining as to what prayer is and where the changes will happen in changing our world, our bodies, and healing, and all of this sort of thing. When you talk about the molecular biology and stuff, you're in the right field. Because when you meet it out there, it's the most incredible thing. And it was actually 4 hours. As I was falling asleep, I kept thinking, there is no way, no way. But he goes to the very scientific mind and into the whole metaphysical and bridges that in a way that anyone, whether they're coming from the ego, the rational mind, or the whatever, I mean, it's been his research as a scientist for so many years, and if you're not familiar with him, or if you are, that he sums up life and the answers to solving all our problems and what we came here for and all of that in a way that is just phenomenal. So I highly recommend it. It's him. It was 2007, and it was in Milano, and Greg Braden. Highly recommend.
Any good news? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I can talk loud enough. I don't need that. I'm good.
Okay.
I just want to thank everyone for all the healing prayers. I was able to get back in the pool this week. So, I am on the mend and very glad to be back in the water this week. And again, thank you all for the healing prayers. I appreciate it.
Now let's welcome our children in. You are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. You are walking in the light, in the light. in the light, in the light, in the light of God.
Well, as most of you know, we have been talking about the 5 basic unity principles for a while, and we skipped ahead to number 5 because today is Jay's last day. He is moving away on Tuesday, and so we talked about the 5th principle, which is about putting it all in action, because it doesn't matter what you've learned about it all if you don't do anything about it. Hey, Jay, you want to hold those pictures? Yeah, hold the pictures. And it's, just hold those. So, we cut out some feet to pass out to everybody as a memory of Jay and as a reminder to walk your talk. Stay on your spiritual path. And so to put this up maybe on your mirror, on your wall, someplace where you're going to see it a lot, by your doorknob, so you can't help but see it. To remind you to walk your talk, follow your spiritual path. And then Jay also made some pictures to pass out to people, is so that you'll all remember what a wonderful artist is and how much he loves drawing.
This is a Minecraft stuffed animal dog.
Of course it is. He must have a
His
name.
name is Wolfie.
How much does he eat?
Hi, Wolfie. He doesn't eat anything. Just a plush.
Just a plush.
Well, we're going to miss Jay very much. So we will pass out the pictures and the feet.
We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, just the way you are. Thank you, Jay. Everybody would stand and reach across the aisleway and hold hands.